This meeting, the Education Policy Committee's order, higher education, and welcome everybody and committee members. Let me personally thank you for your service to this very important committee, and also thank my co-chairs, Senator Lee and Senator Overcash. Pleasure working with you. We have a number of pages with us this morning, and if we would, Sergeant Orange, if you could activate the microphone back there, and if each page would come to the microphone, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and who your sponsor is, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maggie Sprinkle. I'm from Winston-Salem in Forsyth County, and I'm being sponsored by Senator Jones.
Hi everyone, my name is Xander Brew. I'm from Granite Falls in Caldwell County, and my sponsor is Senator Holla.
Hello everyone, my name is Shelby Adams. I am from Franklin, located in Macon County, and I have been sponsored by Senator Corbett.
Good morning, my name is Matt Angelis. I'm from Greenville in Pitt County, and I was sponsored by Senator Smith.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Elariani, and I'm from Henderson, Vance County, and I'm sponsored by Senator Barnes.
Well, thank you to all our pages. We're glad you're here, and we hope this is a great educational experience for you, and encourage you to talk to your senators and find out what they're doing and why they're doing it, and educate yourself further. But thank you for being here today, and hope you enjoyed the day. I'd like to recognize our Sergeant at Arms. These guys keep us safe and organized, and we appreciate them very much. If you would just raise your hand as I recognize you. John Boyette. John, back in the back. Keith Cannon, and hello Keith, and Linda Matthews. And we have John Enlow. Hey John, and Sherry Hedrick. Sherry, good to have you guys. Thank you very much. Members, we have two bills on our agenda today. House Bill 301, and then we have Senate Bill 840. We'll take House Bill 301 first. Representative Zinger has this bill. We do have an amendment which Senator Jones has, and Senator Jones, I think we'll wait. We'll let him explain the bill itself. We'll pause, take your amendment, and then go back to the bill. So Representative Zinger would recognize you at this point to explain your bill.
Great, thank you. It's so good to be with all of you today. So I think first thing, let's describe the problem. You know, social media and our kids. It's the number one tool for predators to go after our children. Number two, if you look at any of the studies that are happening with in the psychiatry industry, there's nobody that says that kids being on social media all the time is a great idea. So how do we deal with that? House Bill 301 puts some protection. I'm going to give you kind of the highlights of it. It bans kids from social media platforms under the age of 14, but not just social media platforms, but also apps. Being able to because that's really where everything is moving. So you can't download apps under 14. Between 14 and 16, they have to have parental consent to do that. The other thing that it puts in the bill is, so as these app stores take and have to do the age verification, they collect data. You know, if all of us put our social media up and we looked at them side by side, they'd all be different because they know who we are, right? And so, but what this says is once they determine the age of somebody and they can't be involved, they have to delete the data that they have. And so we don't want data collecting to be happening on our young people. And so that's how this is going to work, and it's on the back of the really the app store folks to control this, and they can do it. I want you to know that we worked with Meta on this, and so Meta's all for it. They came to us, and we filed the bill. We passed it. Then Meta came to us. We worked with them, and they were all in. They gave us great suggestions and helped us to really tweak it. In terms of how it's enforced, it authorizes the Justice Department to bring an action for unfair and deceptive trade practices against social media platforms that violate these provisions, and to collect a civil penalty of up to $50,000 per violation. And authorizes a civil action on behalf of a minor account holder for an award of up to $10,000 in damages. And so it's got some teeth in it. I do think that just having that out there, that they're going to be great players. That was all the that's what we got from Meta. The other thing I will tell you is it's been fascinating about this bill since I put in there is the support has been across the board. Parents from all stripes have come to me and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it really serves as a backstop to parents. You know, I raised 4 teenagers and I fought the screen battle, and you know, it'd be really great. It would have been really great to be able to go, well, you know, I would do it, but Raleigh said no, right? So, but anyway, so I'll stand for any questions. That's the overview of the bill.
Thank you, Representative Zinger. I'd like to recognize staff from Legislative Analysis, Brian Gwynn, for a quick clarification.
Brian Gwynn, Legislative Analysis. I was just going to provide a quick clarification that this bill in the current edition does apply to the social media platforms as opposed to the app stores.
Thank you, sir. Members, questions, Senator Newton.
Let's get ready to say, Senator Corbin. I'm one of the few senators that hadn't served in the House.
that reverts to my House days. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, I lost it again. I see it's got a referral to Jay, so I won't ask any Jay questions today. I appreciate you bringing the bill. I'd like to ask, first of all, I'll say this as a comment. You know, some of us went to the legislative retreat with the Hunt Institute, and we had some interesting information shared with us about neurology and brains and all of those sorts of good things. See, Senator Chitlick, we do listen. I know you don't think we do, but we do listen. So I appreciate you bringing this forward, and I'd like to continue the conversation. But I do want to ask about Meta. You or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are they supportive of the bill as it's currently drafted?
Yeah, and in fact, I met with them yesterday, and there's going to be a little minor tweak, and it has to do with the app stores. They're in here, but they're not. We're going to tighten that up a little more. But you know, I was really surprised because they came to me really after the bill was through the House, and Senator Jones was with me, and I thought, okay, oh brother, here we go. And they said, look, Facebook was founded by kids, and they grew up, they graduated from college, they started families, and their kids are getting older, and they don't want them on social media. And they said, so we are here to help, which I was completely surprised about. 2 bills in Texas and Utah that they had worked on and helped with, they sent those to us as some model policy to pull some of the things out that they wanted, and that's why there is a change to the bill that's on here, and that came from their work and for what they've done. So yes, they're all on board.
Thanks, sir. Questions from members? Senator Chaudhry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Zinger, for your leadership on this very important bill. Maybe if I could ask a Jay-related question, since I'm not on judiciary, I'm curious because I know similar bills have passed in other states. I believe in Utah, and I guess there have been efforts to litigate this as a violation on First Amendment protections. I don't know if you could speak to that, or if somebody could speak to the allegations of this being a violation of the First Amendment.
Representative Zinger.
Well, it has survived challenges, but I guess my counter would be then our age restrictions on guns a violation of the Second Amendment. I mean, you know, and so it has survived challenges. I expect it will, and again, like I said, it's wildly popular.
Other questions? Senator Chitlick.
I'd like to be recognized for a series of questions, please, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am.
I'd like to be recognized for a series of questions, please, Mr. Chair.
You're recognized.
Thank you. First, I just want to commend this effort to rein in what is extremely addictive technology, we know, and to free our young people from a dependence on social media, which is driving so much of what you said: isolation, depression, self-harm. And any effort to regulate this, I think, is a good one, and we have rare consensus. I think that this is really urgent and essential. So my concerns around this are more around enforceability and efficacy. Age verification is very challenging, and it doesn't mandate the kind of age verification in the bill, and I'm not necessarily sure there's like a best-in-class way to do that, but does this, am I correct in reading that the bill allows the tech companies themselves to determine what age verification metrics are used?
Sure, and it's incumbent upon them to do that, but understand there's lots of age verification going on right now online. I mean, you can buy alcohol online, you can buy guns online, there's all kinds of things you buy online that you have to, or participate in online. You know, was it last year, Neil Jackson did the one that required age verification on the pornography sites, and a whole bunch of them pulled out because they didn't want to be a part of it, but they know that there's a way to do it. And so when I approached that with the tech folks, they were like, yeah, that's not a problem. Like I said, they know who we are. It'd be terrifying if we knew exactly how much they knew about all of us.
Yeah, I agree with that. Does it allow for self-reporting? So, for example, if an 8-year-old puts in the birthday of their 16-year-old sibling, do they get treated like a 16-year-old in the algorithm without any kind of further check?
Yeah, that I don't know. I can find some answers for you, but you know, here's the thing: is we need to remember this. Locks keep honest people honest. There's honest ways to do all kinds of things. We've got all kinds of laws, and there are people out there that try to find a way around them. So is this bulletproof? Absolutely not. Is this going to make a gigantic change? Absolutely. Absolutely. And my guess is that, as just with everything, as this gets implemented and we start to see stuff like that, then there'll be greater and greater and greater tools that will be developed to help stop more and more of that.
The chair would like to recognize Brian Gwynn with staff to give some information on a previous question. Brian.
Brian Gwynn, Legislative Analysis. I was just going to speak briefly to Senator Chowdhury's question about litigation. I think that my understanding, there's at least been eight or nine different states where similar laws have been challenged. They're not exactly identical to the language that's presented here. I think several of those laws, at least in early stages of litigation, have been potentially found to have First Amendment violations. The question is, depending on whether or not they are content-based restrictions on speech. Much of the language in this particular bill, not all of it, is similar to a law that Florida passed. Florida's law is still pending litigation. There is a case that the 11th Circuit did, at least initially, give some indication approving the law, or at least not invalidating it. Again, it's not 100% identical to this particular provision, though, and much of that litigation is still in progress.
Thank you, Brian. Other questions from members? Senator Galey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a comment that I appreciate Representative Zanger's remarks about Meta and their endorsement, I guess, of the bill. I just wanted to point out that just last month, in March 2026, that there was a Los Angeles jury that found that Meta and Google had designed platforms intentionally to be addictive to and harmed young users' mental health. And so I think it's important to recognize that Meta has created this situation, and that I think this is great that we're going to work to protect our young people's mental health. One thing that I would hope is that people don't think that because your child is over a certain age and they're allowed to get on the platforms, that therefore it's good for them or beneficial, or they won't cause them mental health challenges. So we all need to continue, all parents need to continue to be cautious about what they allow their children to participate in online.
Thanks, Senator Galey. Senator Chowdhury.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make a couple of comments that really follow up on what Senator Galey mentioned, and I just want to briefly speak from experience, because many moons ago I had the opportunity to work at the Attorney General's office, where I led an effort to try to regulate MySpace, which is no longer in existence and probably dates me. Well, thank you for remembering, Senator Bradley.
You're dating yourself, Senator.
Yeah, I am, but there's an important point to be made here. But an effort to really crack down on MySpace and Facebook to implement basic security measures to protect primarily young women from adult male predators. And we launched a national internet safety task force that brought together technology companies because the threat was real, it was documented, and the platforms were not acting on their own. As a result, we were able to structure a compromise, but predators still got access to the platforms. And today it feels like the platforms are bigger, the threats are larger. And today the threats are not predators. It feels like it's the algorithms, to Senator Galey's point. We know this is played out in a Los Angeles classroom today. And I just think that this legislation is so important because we see teachers competing for children's attention with the algorithms, right? And that includes my own children. I think that these platforms honestly profit from outrage. I think that it really drives division, as all of us as elected officials see. I worry about what it does to our functioning democracy, and I worry that we will probably elect a new generation of legislators who are not legislators but social media influencers, which means we're never going to get anything done. And hopefully this legislation will address that. And so I applaud you for doing this, because Congress has never addressed this issue. The Communication Decency Act has a section 230 that Congress has never been able to tackle it. So this is why we see states like Utah and others moving, and I applaud your leadership on doing that. So I hope that this is an opportunity to, not only for public education, but just to keep our democracy alive and not as divisive, that we pass this bill. And so with that, I make a motion for approval for this bill at the appropriate time, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, sir. We'll hold that until after the amendment. Any other comments from members? Questions? Senator Hannick?
I was wondering if maybe there was a glare and you couldn't see my light or something. I mean, I'm like,
I saw pointing,
for real,
but I didn't
man,
see a
you're
hand
killing
up.
me, brother. Look, just a clarification question for the bill sponsor. I understand it's on the social media platforms. Are we doing age verification on the apps prior to them downloading the apps? Is that what you alluded to earlier?
Yeah, and that's one of the app stores are in here, but we need to tighten it up a little bit, and you'll see that as it moves through the process. But it's absolutely, because here's the thing: is this? It's kind of to what the other senator was saying. This is kind of metastasized. It used to be it was Facebook, and then it was Facebook, and it was LinkedIn. Well, now every one of these apps, these gaming apps, and all these kind of stuff, all have their own little social media, components to it. So that's why the apps are so important, and so it will be the verification of the age before they can download anything.
Would the senator from the Outer Banks have any other questions?
Not at this time, thank you, sir.
Any other
Mr.
questions?
Chairman, I just want to clarify. I don't see the apps in this particular draft. So just wanted to clarify that that's not in here right now. I understand that someone may be advocating for a change, but that's not in the current draft.
We do have a couple of folks from the audience that have asked to speak. I think we have someone from NC Family that's here to speak to the bill. I think that Mitch, is that right? Yep. We'd recognize, if you would state your name and who you represent.
Mitch Prosser, have the privilege of serving as the Vice President of North Carolina Family Policy Council. I want to thank Chairman Corbin and the members of the committee, and of course Representative Zenger, for all of your work on this bill. It's an excellent bill, and NC Family stands in firm support of the social media protections for minors. As the parent of 3 young men, 14, 12, and 8, my wife and I, my beautiful, wonderful wife and I, have heard more than once, too many times that we can even count. All my friends have ... or everyone else has an account. It won't hurt anything. We've heard it just a few times. So if we were to set aside the addictive nature of social media, or the fact that some of the content is unsafe for young eyes to see, and both of those things are extremely real, we would see an even more startling and alarming reality: the predatory component of some people on social media. Far too often, our children's innocent safety and their very lives are put at risk when they are allowed to access social media platforms. There's this brand new twist to the old adage, don't talk to strangers. When children are able to access social media, the strangers come looking for them. AI tools and algorithmic functions that many of you have already talked about allow predators easy access to our most vulnerable. Tragically, too many children have been robbed of their innocence, endangered by bad actors, and even kidnapped and trafficked because they were exposed to the harms of social media too early. HB 301 provides a launch pad for parents to protect the hearts and lives of their children. You see, we have a bright future here in the state of North Carolina because of measures just like this. And today, you can take another step in ensuring that the future of North Carolina is bright by giving those children that we love the opportunity to be set up for success. So support HB 301. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. I think we have a representative from North Carolina Values. Joseph. Yes, sir. If you would introduce yourself and tell us who you represent.
Thank you, Senator Corbin. Joseph Backholm with the NC Values Coalition, in support also of HB 301 and encouraged by the conversation here today. A couple other data points that I think are instructive to this. Globally, 302 million children have been sexually abused online. 23% of teenage girls are victims of some kind of online sexual exploitation. And a lot has been said about the attention span issues. This is an emerging issue. Senator Chaudhry had the concern about the constitutionality of this because it's new. It will be litigated. Very recently, the Supreme Court has affirmed the scheme of age verification when protecting minors in the Paxton case in related to age verification for pornography. So I think that's an encouraging sign for this development. Of course, there's lots of issues that this raises, but I think the fundamental point here, given the apparent unanimity of agreement that this is a problem, when you have a problem of this scale, the only thing you can't do is nothing. And so we will have to solve problems as we move along, but we are encouraged by the steps today and encourage you to keep going. So thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. That was all the comments we had. Anything else from the committee on the bill? Oh, we have one more. Yes, ma'am. If you would introduce yourself and who you represent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry for not signing up. I wasn't planning to speak, but I'm Whitney Campbell Christensen, an attorney at Warden Smith, and I represent Meta, have represented the company for about a decade now. And for starters, really just wanted to commend Representative Zinger, Representative Jackson, his co-sponsors, Senator Jones, for taking such a deep dive on this, for the initiative in the first place. It's such an important topic, and their leadership on it is just so appreciated by the company and by me personally as a mother of three. Such a great topic, and they've done a phenomenal job diving into this both last session, lots of meetings over the interim, and just really appreciate the level of study and attention that they're giving this. Representative Zinger is right. Meta supports any legislation that would create an App Store age verification threshold. Representative Zinger, just yesterday, and Senator Jones were so wonderful to work with us on that. We're hopeful to get that addressed in the Judiciary Committee, which is obviously the more appropriate place for a change of that nature. To Senator Chaudhry's points, well, first, I remember MySpace too. So if you're old, I'm old. I also had a MySpace account in a top 8. But to your other comment about the litigation surrounding the bans for under 14 and staff's point on that topic, you're right. That age ban has been overturned in Arkansas and I believe a couple other states. And the bill itself is just so good in nature that I would hate for that to get in the way of the rest of its effectiveness. And so, yes, Meta will support and is very proud to support an App Store age verification. We think that's the best way to make sure that all of the apps, not just the good players, like Facebook and Instagram, but the smaller ones, the international ones, don't end up becoming a workaround where young people, can't get on Facebook or can't get on Instagram because their age is properly being verified. So then they go to this new program and can falsify their age and do it there. So the App Store really is the best gate to do this. It's also more difficult to lie about your age in the App Store than it would be on a single app. And just a quick point, anyone can create an app, not me because I'm a lawyer, but any good tech person could create an app and create an unsafe space for our teens. So really the App Store is the best place to do this, and just got to thank Representative Zinger again. He has been fantastic and really appreciate working with you all.
Thank you, ma'am. And if there are no other questions from the committee, as stated earlier, we have an amendment from Senator Jones, which pertains to K-12 schools. So we recognize you to the podium. So Senator Jones, we recognize you to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, this amendment addresses an urgent need for multiple levels of safety and responsibility in AI in our schools, and we know that AI is here already, and it's something that's evolving very rapidly. And so this amendment addresses needs for from the classroom to the state level in a couple of different buckets. We'll kind of talk about it like that. So this establishes an age-appropriate AI literacy for students by modifying the current computer science standards. And so understanding not just how to use these tools, but to do them responsibly and safely, and prepare them with AI competency for the workforce, which was something we've all heard multiple times a lot. And so that particular piece would be worked on and would be in place in the 2028-29 school year. The next piece of this is to provide training for teachers and administrators, and giving them the tools to integrate AI into instruction, while also being able to maintain academic integrity and protecting student data. DPI, we would ask that the Friday Institute be able to make these training modules for DPI and for the teachers, and so that would go in place. I think that would be required by like June 30th of 2028. So you can see, even though we're being mindful of the time to make sure these are designed very well, and it's really good training for our teachers and our administrators and a support for them. The next piece would be to establish a district AI policy, something consistent across the state that DPI could design and help our individual school districts with, to make sure they again are addressing privacy and acceptable use and emerging concerns like misuse of AI generated content. And then the last piece would be for DPI to build and formulate a evaluation framework so that they could have tools that they have been vetted, that are safe and effective and aligned with curriculum that school districts could go to and pull from. And so simply this amendment equips our schools with guardrails, training and accountability needed to embrace AI and its innovation while protecting students and maintaining trust. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I recognize Senator Lee.
And I just wanted to make a quick comment. I think this is a great amendment, and Senator Jones has already talked to me about the cost and the appropriation that would need to come with this. I think the policy is great, and I think that the appropriation will likely follow, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Thanks, Senator. Questions on the amendment? Senator Robinson.
Yes, thank you, Senator Jones, for that thoughtfulness too. But I wonder, have you talked to DPI in terms of making these modifications and their ability to do that, their staffing, etc.? You know, I certainly it's needed. I agree it's needed. Have you talked to them?
Senator Jones.
Yes, thank you for the question, Senator. And yes, we have had conversations, multiple conversations with DPI and their staff. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with the Friday Institute and not put that burden on DPI and their staff, and let them create the modules, the training modules for them, and allow DPI to focus on what they really designed for, and that's to talk around the curriculum. And I think that that's something that we can all agree is needed.
Follow up. And have they agreed that 2028 is an acceptable time to get that done, you know, considering the school systems and all of that have to be involved?
They seem to not be a no on that, and I think it's, again, we're trying to be mindful around not doing it too soon, but also we also know that this is really something we probably should have been talking about 3 or 4 years ago. So I think we can make it work.
Thank you. Senator Brinson.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment at the appropriate time.
Okay. Before the motion, do we have any other questions? Senator Chitlick.
I just want to thank Senator Jones for her work on this amendment. and really appreciate the inclusion of evaluation. I'm just thinking about what AI will look like in 2028. We can't even imagine it. And so I'm curious about within that evaluation or within the appropriation, if you're thinking about how this will be updated so we don't implement a curriculum that's stagnant as we go through more and more rapid cycles of change.
Seeing no other questions, Senator Brinson moves for approval of the amendment. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed? The amendment passes. Now we're back on the bill. Do we have any questions from members about the bill as amended? Seeing none, Senator Newton, you're recognized.
As amended.
Senator Newton moves for a favorable report to the bill as amended, roll into a proposed committee substitute with a favorable report to committee substitute and unfavorable to the original bill, with authority for staff to make technical changes with a re-referral to judiciary. Is that your motion, sir? Thank you. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Jones and Representative Zinker. Next, we have another bill. We have, while the chair turns to find the number, Senate Bill 840, Senator McGinnis. This is a subject that he's talked to the chairs about a good bit, and we appreciate him coming with this bill. Senator McGinnis, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, and members of the audience. This bill is an important bill to get quality teachers in the classrooms of North Carolina. It is a teacher licensing modifications, Senate Bill 840. And before I go into the bill, Mr. Chair, I would like to submit an amendment, and it is on the dashboard.
Yes, sir, it is, and you're recognized for the amendment.
What the amendment does, several years ago, we brought forward the opportunity for someone to get a limited license who is having problems taking the test. And that limited license had to be based on their performance in the classroom as time went on. We have found that we have kept some outstanding teachers, and if they didn't work out, we sent them home, I'm sure is what happened to them. But we have got quality teachers, and it is a cumbersome process to maintain the limited license. What this amendment does is allows the state board to convert a limited license to a continuing professional license for a teacher who has available growth data and has a positive growth score for 2 or more of the most recent years in which the growth scores are available. So in the event they can't produce evidence that they're a high quality teacher, nothing happens. They stay on the limited license. This just gives those high performance teachers the ability to get a continuing license, and I submit the amendment to you.
Thank you, members. We are on the amendment, not the bill. So any questions on the amendment? Senator Hanning.
Just a quick question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that in perpetuity, or is there a time limit on the limit?
Perpetuity.
Okay.
Other questions on the amendment?
I have a question.
Senator Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator McGinnis, you said, and I remember when you offered the bill, limited license, but I thought that had a time period for the teacher to show growth in the classroom. Does that?
Every 3 years, the teacher with the limited license has to go before the principal and the superintendent to be re-upped for another 3 years, plus taking all the other courses for re-upping a license as well. So if they don't have performance in the classroom, they're not staying there. They're out the door. This is the same thing. It's just giving those teachers that have the ability to show 2 of 3 years on a continuing basis, high performance, we're giving them a license. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator McGinnis. Other questions on the amendment? We entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion for approval of the amendment from Senator Lee. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed? That amendment passes. We are back on the bill. Are there other comments, sir?
If I could, I'd present the bill.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so on the bill itself, 840, what it does is remove the praxis test for the entrance into a educator prep program. We've already got folks who have gone through 4 years of college. They've gone through end of grade, end of semester, end of course, got a diploma, passed all the tests, so they wouldn't have a diploma to begin with. But this allows them to go into the profession of a teacher without having the encumbrance of another test that only proves you're a good test taker. That's the only thing that practice test proves. So this bill removes the testing requirement for admission into an educator preparatory preparation program. The goal is simple: to do not block a potential teacher before they even start their training. We would expect quality, but we should not create unnecessary front-end barriers. This also gives the teacher, in the second part, more time to complete the licensure exams. It allows the teacher to complete the required exams during their third year instead of having to start in their first year. And then it improves the reciprocal agreement for out-of-state teachers. If they have 3 years experience and are in good standing with their state, we give them a license and put them in the classroom. Nothing like a prepared, experienced teacher coming in from out of state to go into a classroom. So that's the bill. I submit it to you.
Essentially,
just a couple quick comments. You can tell Senator McGinnis is not super passionate about this. He's been talking about these issues with me since we started in the General Assembly together, and that was over a decade ago. And he was way ahead of his time. You know, DPI supports these provisions. I support these provisions, and we have to remember that at the end of the day, someone actually has to hire the person. So while I know in the past some folks have said, you know, you're removing these quality checks, you're removing all these things kind of out there to make sure we've got quality instruction, and yet we have superintendents, we've got principals, and now with advanced teaching roles, we've got lead teachers to really make sure and benchmark that the teachers are establishing high quality in the classroom. I also want to acknowledge that a lot of the nonprofit testing companies that were providing these kind of high stakes tests are reforming the way that they're doing things and looking at new innovative ways to assess on a formative level, so you don't have this kind of one day decides whether you can go into the EPP program, or one day decides whether you can be a teacher. And so I do want to acknowledge that they are working on those things. We've talked with them. We look forward to working with them to see what they've come up with. I know that they talked to us last year, they talked to us this year, and we're going to continue to look at that. But I think this is the right bill at the right time for now.
Okay. Questions from members? Senator Robinson.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator McGinnis. I want to know what other measurements are there in place instead of the EPP to say that a teacher is qualified. Several of us are on the Blue Ribbon Commission on Education, and we are talking about quality teachers as precipitating or indicating what the good outcomes are for students. You know, without a quality teacher, you cannot have well-performing students. So now if you take away the EPP measurement and move it to 3 years, the first 1 to 3 years, what is there to indicate that that teacher is performing well? Students could pass 3 years of students could get past and not perform. So what's there?
Senator McGinnis. EVOS is the answer because that tells the story on a daily basis. It used to be Johnny or Susie were failing at the end of the year, but they didn't start failing at the end of the year, Senator. They started failing on the first day, but there was no way to figure that out until the end of grade or the end of semester test. EVOS now is graded and computed on a daily basis. And if these principals have a teacher that is not performing, their bonus is directly attributed to their performance in the classroom. They're not going to let them stay in there for that reason and that reason alone. And one teacher can kick them out of a $10,000 or $15,000 bonus. So there is a lot of different things in the pipeline to keep anything bad from happening. Is it a perfect situation? Absolutely not. there's no perfect situation, but what I tell you this is, with 100% clarity and certainty, there is no excuse to have a permanent sub in any classroom in North Carolina whose only qualification is to have a heartbeat in their chest. That's the only qualification. We need, and I totally agree with you, Senator Robinson, we need a quality teacher experience with a track record in the classroom in North Carolina.
Thanks, Senator. Other questions on the bill?
Move for a favorable report.
Senator Lee moves for a favorable report to the bill as amended, rolled into a proposed committee substitute with a favorable report to the committee substitute and unfavorable to the original bill, with authority for staff to make technical changes with a referral to appropriations-based budget. Is that your motion, Senator Lee?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, sir. You heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That bill passes. Thank you, Senator Ben.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We stand adjourned.